2025. And I will call to order the May meeting of the Hadley Committee for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. Oh, look at, we have AI.
We could do captions.
Yes.
Our esteemed chair is double booked and running late. So as vice chair, I will step in and rule the roost or do whatever I need to do to keep things on track. Agenda. Well, that was a welcome, and I don't think you're out of order, so I don't think I need to call us to order. Opening reflections, anyone?
Well, I do.
Okay.
You know me, I like to bring stories from the Gazette.
Mm,
So from the Friday, May 9th copy of the Gazette, what I found inspiring in here was on the opinion page, a guest column called "The Hopeful Math for Saving Democracy." And what got my attention was there's something called the 3.5% rule. And what that is that after studying more than 300 nonviolent resistance campaigns, the researchers found a startling truth that when just 3.5% of a population engaged in sustained strategic civil resistance, authoritarian regimes fall. And I went and looked at the population of Hadley, and 3.5% was the amount that came to the last town meeting. That gives you an idea that it doesn't take that much, right?
mm,
And I just thought, you know, when here we are getting into where we got to go vote for people,
yeah.
that you know, a certain number can make a big difference. And I just thought that I found that very inspiring, so I thought it would bring that along. But this guest column was by Rob Okun, O-K-U-N. That looks like it's from a syndicated. Oh, he's the editor of Voicemail MALE magazine.
Oh,
In any case,
yeah.
What date was that?
this was from Friday, May 9th. Yep, that was page A6. Those who want to look it up.
I'm not gonna add to that. I think that was a good positive note. I'm not sure I can go anywhere more positive with that. Or with anything else other than that. So then I would move on to item 3, which is the recording clerk's report.
You need one?
I read them online.
Right.
And then I think there were the third person corrections, right? Otherwise, I think that's fine.
I move to approve the minutes.
I second that.
Second that.
They were corrected as, okay.
And all in favor?
Joanne, yes.
Joanne, yes. That yes, and Mark, yes. So that's unanimous acceptance of last month's minutes. Old business. Update on Candida Brooks Harrison offering a training session in Hadley. Well, we talked about that, but I don't know if I don't have an update.
No, I moved to table this until Crystal joins us.
I would agree with that.
I would agree.
We'll do that.
I don't think we need to vote on that. You can just table that. New business. Guest for June 12th to be confirmed. A fireside chat with Reverend Dr. Andrea Avazian from the Alden Baptist Church, Springfield, Mass. Also founder and director of the Sojourner Truth School for Social Change Leadership. So Yes, I did reach out to show that. Yeah, so
I-
that was exciting, she said she doesn't give speeches anymore, but she said she would be interested, she would
Mhm.
entertain a, just sit down discussion. And I said, well, that's
yeah.
what we love. So,
Mhm.
yeah. So I think, any room she walks into, I think brightens, so
Mhm.
becomes wiser. So I look forward to that.
Mark, I have from May 1st that she said, I think June 12th will work. Has she gotten back to you whether it's a definite?
No, I don't think I've had any more, so
Okay.
I will tell her that we are fully on board and if
Yeah.
she can make it. Um. Should we have a plan B, like Alex Lamarche or someone like that?
Will,
You won't get much going with me on that topic.
5B might be I have to, that's the next one on there.
Okay. So, yeah, so I will,
Let us know.
I'll put that I will confirm with,
Yeah, she says, I will confirm one more time, but so it'd be good to, before I have to
or
get the agenda going, because this next meeting is a week earlier.
June 12th. All right, and if she does read, then I'll check and see if she wants to come in person, which would be fabulous. Or if she needs to Zoom, but
Okay,
um, 5B, moving right along. Possible future guests. Erica Dawson, Head, Executive Director of Diversity and Inclusion, Manning College of Information and Computer Sciences at UMass. Oh, that's our new, they're getting a new building, computer information
are they?
and yeah, College of Information and Computer Sciences, I think, CICS, I think it is. Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, I have not met Erica, but that sounds interesting.
I can report more on that. So she recently was
We should probably speak up
Oh, yeah.
in case the owl does.
participating in a Zoom gathering. Pat and I were actually on there where she shared her story. It did feel that the department kind of knew her. So as outsiders, there were some things that we didn't know about, but I tuned in because she was Jenny's supervisor when Jenny was working in that department and absolutely adored her. And when COVID hit and the job got stopped, it was one of many disappointments for my dear daughter.
Mm.
But after the presentation, I circled back to Erica by email to say, hey, I'm Jenny's mom and great to see you. And I thought, might as well throw it out there. Maybe she'd meet with us. And then she was interested, and this was through her the contact person. And then I got to email her directly. I got her direct email and didn't hear anything. So I thought, just checking in. And she responded saying, I can come May 15. I said, well, we've already got somebody for that. But here are the other dates coming up.
Oh, good.
I just wanted to say that while I took a bunch of notes for that presentation, one of the takeaways for me was how skilled she is at recognizing when there's inequities. Remember, she talked about being the first in her family to go to college and didn't know the skills of going to college. Her folks were working class. She knew the skills of working class. Show up on time, do what you're told, go home on time, do the job right. And she elaborated that some kids need to be reminded to go to class or reminded to do homework or to eat.
Mm.
But I was very touched by her empathy for making sure her students had what they needed to learn,
Mm.
that all the students had what they needed to learn.
Yeah, because usually they're all coming from a different set of circumstances.
Exactly.
If they were very independent at home, they may be able to regulate their lives here. And if they've had a very structured family existence, then maybe not having that little guidance or steering
Mhm.
can be a problem for them in its absence. And so,
Mhm.
because there are so many distractions and attractions.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, part of college is just growing up, making good decisions.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I was struck with, see, I grew up being taught from day one that my grandmother went to college. So it was always beyond an assumption.
Mm.
So to just be reminded that not everyone grows up with that was just a good, a good thing for me.
Yeah.
Anyway,
And
so that's kind of a reflection too.
your grandmother went to college, must have been in the early,
Class of 1918. Oh, it was a big deal.
yeah, there were, I mean, women
Yeah,
almost had to fight for.
yep. Her husband did not, and was went to Mount Holyoke.
Mm.
And my mom remembers growing up, there are a lot of weekends, they'd drive up there to look at the campus. This is where your mother went to school. There was great pride in the family. So where do you think I went?
And my daughter.
Your daughter too.
Yes.
Lots of wonderful college.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's also pretty.
That's lovely.
So
So-
I can report further when we find out if
Yeah.
Dr. Evazian is coming that day.
Right.
That's fine.
yeah, so if Dr. Bazian is coming in June, would you want to ask her for July or skip to August or?
I'm gonna ask her
Okay.
which of those work for her.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'll
Sounds
do.
And going back to 5A, should we each think of some questions to ask the guest? I don't know. I think it could just be spontaneous, but in case anyone wants to
Sure.
have a list to fall back on in case we
Yeah.
do.
Yeah,
I think I found information about her online.
Oh, good.
yeah,
So I think we could do that. and
Okay.
come
Yeah.
with a few questions.
and then,
Sure.
yeah, and then in your email, I just printed a copy of it here. You explained the nature of our community and whatnot, housing, you just, I just liked her approach. To see if she can shed some light on pressing questions and dilemmas.
Mhm.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
New business item C, Juneteenth event, the senior center
Yeah.
matinee, Friday the 20th. So the day after Juneteenth.
It is.
Yeah.
It's the day they have scheduled for their matinee, their movie matinee.
Okay.
I think we've learned that, given the nature of a daytime film, that the audience is interested in educational films, fairly succinct and uplifting. And I use those criteria to recommend that we show the Freedom episode of the High on the Hawk. And so it's the Juneteenth episode titled Freedom, Understanding Juneteenth. So it's season one, episode 4. It's 52 minutes. Now, last year, this had been on the agenda for us to show, but we ended up showing a different episode of High on the Hawk.
On purpose?
No, it was cued to the other episode.
okay.
And once we started it, the audience said, oh, well, this is interesting. We'll watch this year.
Yeah.
So that allowed
Oh.
us to circle back and return to this. We were in Chicago last year and we watched that episode. This episode is set in Texas and focuses specifically on Juneteenth.
Oh, that would be nice. I'm
So-
gonna try to get to that.
I think it will be well received. We did show this once in conjunction with the library, I believe in 2021, but the audience is different.
Okay.
For sure, because I actually had a list of the people in attendance then and they weren't. There. So anyway, so I would recommend that
Yeah,
and
Good.
I think they will enjoy it.
The fact that it's based in Texas is, I mean,
Well, yeah.
that's Juneteenth.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Texas was the last state to
That's exactly right. Exactly. Yeah.
abolish slavery.
Okay, so if if you agree, I will circle back to Violet
Yeah.
and she'll put it. she'll
I agree.
advertise. Yes, okay, great.
Other guests for future meetings.
Well, we had in our minutes that Chief Mason was on our list and
Right.
Yeah, I just thought, I think we interviewed him, was it 3 years ago? I mean, it was a while
It
ago.
was great.
And it would be interesting to circle back. I mean,
I love it.
not to say he has to be at the top of the list compared to someone else who hasn't been here before, but I think he would always be a great resource.
I think we've been holding back because of his holding two
Yeah,
roles.
yes,
You know, I
right.
mean, we could ask him what he thinks, but
Right.
I would be eager to, I learned a lot from that one, that our police do a whole lot more than policing.
No.
Hi.
how are you?
Very good. Good to see you.
Thank you. Was everyone? Very well. What is it?
And so I would entertain,
Didn't get one. Did you get one of those?
Not yet.
Okay, well, that's for you.
Thank you.
so I would entertain a motion to adjourn. I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
You actually are,
Oh, okay, so
We can go back
We
to
skipped-
anything you like. What
Yeah.
is the table?
We
Table
skipped-
the,
We
Four.
skipped it.
we're tabled for A.
yeah,
Okay, good,
No,
because that's what I wanted to
Yeah,
talk about.
we skipped that for waiting for you.
We were talking about by D, other guests for future meetings, and we talked about how we had talked about Chief Mason being invited. Once he has a single versus a dual role.
When he has the
Yeah,
time.
when he was
We really
available.
would love to hear from him again.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we approved the minutes.
Yes.
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, and we're.
I'm so sorry, but I
I
forgot to put no in there. I'm like, oh my God.
know, you saw it, I wrote back, I was like,
Yeah.
okay, send any suggestions.
I did.
And he was
It's all
like,
good.
I meant to say it was all,
Yeah.
that was good.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are on.
We-
Where are we now?
We just worked our way through 5, so, but we tabled 4 for your presence, so.
Okay, so, and hi, how are you today, Alex?
Doing all right. How about you?
Good, good. Great to see you
Good to see
again.
you.
Thank you. So we do have the Erica Dawson, that's your daughter's,
Yep.
and you had someone you wanted.
I'm going to confirm that Dr. Reverend Andrea Evazian is in fact available for June 12th.
Okay,
And if she's not, then the plan B was
See if Eric.
see if Eric,
wait,
so.
but I thought Erica was, so basically, Erica was first. Joanne's idea came before yours,
No,
no?
nope. No,
Sure?
I brought up one of Dr.
Well, she offered to do
His
May.
email.
She offered to do May, but right.
Right,
You got an answer from Dr. Evazian well before I got a reply from
Oh,
Erica.
okay.
okay,
And
Yeah, I would-
Erica said I can come May 15, and I already sent the agenda out. He
Right.
answered later.
Yeah.
And so I said, well, we've already.
right, so if she could come May, well, she should be able to come in June.
Right, that was our thought, that
Yeah,
if,
except-
because Andrea had said she could do June
June
12th.
as well, yeah.
So, but we were gonna confirm, and if for some reason she can't, then we should
So
be
she
able to
would be
get.
the backup.
Yeah,
If she, if
and,
yours
and
can't.
otherwise, she would be
That's the
our,
thing.
our lead for
July.
July, yeah.
If she's able to attend.
Yeah.
Okay, so the backup would be Joanne's and,
I don't like to say backup, but yes.
yeah, June would be for you. Okay,
So
so,
we're interested in both people. coming.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
We are
So accommodating their schedules.
gonna accommodate their schedule.
July possibly,
Mhm.
question mark, okay.
Mhm.
So did we do C, the senior center matinee?
Yes,
Okay, so everything is okay with that?
Yes.
You Contacted Violet,
and we'll contact her tomorrow and say we made the decision.
We-
Okay.
She knew that we were meeting tonight.
We
okay,
did
good.
not discuss who expected to be there,
I will be there.
so maybe we'll cue it up to the right one this time.
I was there last time on.
Oh, you were? Oh,
Nobody,
I wasn't sure if it was me, because I could have easily screwed that up.
no, I didn't queue it up, but I
Okay.
didn't check it, so.
Okay,
Are you going to go for the June one?
I will certainly try, yeah.
Okay, I need, same here.
I'm
I would
hoping
like
to.
go.
It's good, it's.
Yeah, I looked it up.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I
it
think
really is, and I'm a, you know, I'm a cooker, so.
You would
I
love.
loved it. I
you would
seen
love
it, I
this.
said, well, all right. then
Yeah,
I
this
will
is right
check
up your
this out.
alley,
Yes,
Crystal.
it's wonderful.
Cool.
Okay, so do we have any other guests for the future? That was from Mike Mason, right?
Yes.
And as far as anyone else, I don't think there's anyone at this time that we can think of. I forgot to add to the agenda that, but I could do that in open agenda when we're ready to get there. But we can go to number 4 and get that over with.
Mhm.
Right. Okay, so we did speak with Candida at the last meeting.
Mhm.
And she did say she would be able to come possibly in July or August. So I reached out to her and, oh, we have,
Transcription?
Yeah,
what?
Yeah, I did.
just so that people hard of hearing can.
Well, that's
Can hear
great.
it.
It makes it even easier for the minute.
We are inclusive.
Well, hold on, no. This is just for Zoom, that you won't be able to get the minutes off these transcriptions. You can get minutes off the transcriptions on YouTube, however.
Great.
Yeah, okay, well, that's something that's very great.
But if you're Zooming, you're seeing that, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, you on the other end, if say our remote, I would have to enable it on my end.
Yeah,
So someone would have to enable on their end.
okay.
So I enabled it here.
Good, so this
Mhm.
way, whoever is watching it now, I mean, when it's recorded, will they be able to see this? You said no? On YouTube, they can.
Yeah, so we actually put the transcriptions, we actually put the captions in on when we edit
When
and
you go
post.
to the video, you
Yeah.
can choose to put it on there.
Yeah.
So then what is the purpose of this showing right now then?
If anyone were zooming in,
We
Well,
were.
no, well, if they were to come in to the building, they're able to
Okay.
do captions.
Okay, so this is for someone who's actually going to be here. This is an accommodation.
Exactly. If they're on their on our own machine, they can easily enable it on Zoom.
Okay, good. So this is if someone comes in and they need this, we have it available.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thought we'd try it.
Yeah. Okay, so back to Candida. So I emailed her once and I explained to her how fortunate I felt, how appreciative
Mm.
I was, and just so much.
Mm.
And I didn't receive a response. So then I waited a few days and followed up, did not receive a response. So then I asked Pat if she would reach out. Pat did not receive a response. However, Joanne, I guess you asked her something totally different and she responded to you. And then that's when you asked if the phone number could be put out.
No, the other way around. When you all you wanted to know how to reach Candida. I didn't have her permission to give her personal cell phone, but I had her email.
Hmm.
So when I gave that to you, at the same time, actually before I sent you the email, because I didn't send it immediately after the meeting, I reached out to Candida saying, can I share your number? And I was waiting for her to answer to then get both. But I didn't get both the answers, so I just gave the email. So then she answered about a month later. And that's when I just shared that.
So you asked her a month prior if you can give the number out and then she didn't respond till a month later.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
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 So.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what we should do going forward. I know she's a very busy person. However, I hate to say this, but this is representing, our group represents Hadley. And we have to be sure that we can rely on someone to provide us with accurate and efficient and timely information. I mean, we needed to know the dates available. We needed to know if she was able to come out. And the initial contact was email. So when she did email Joanne, she did tell Joanne she did see my email and she would get back to me, and she hasn't.
Oh, see, she texted me. I can look it up. It was a text. Hi, Joanne, sorry for late response. It's fine to share my number with anyone you think should have it. I also see I was sent an email and I will respond this evening in the affirmative.
And you sent that to me as a text
No, I copied the text.
into the email, right?
Email
That's what I
that-
just said. I got an email from you stating
Yeah.
that she said that she
Correct.
received the information, right? I don't
Correct.
know what the initial contact was between you two, but I know
Correct.
the contact between you and I was
Correct.
email.
Correct.
So then she stated she would get back to us and she hasn't. So
Oh,
I don't know what to do about this. I mean, yes, it would have been lovely to have her, but we can't put Hadley out there like that. And this is something where we would gather people and we have to be sure as a committee, anyone should be able to, receive information. We can't rely on just one person as a contact person for this whole event. I mean, I know Joanne goes to the circles. I know she has a history with Candida. That's okay. That's beautiful. That's excellent. However, as a collaborative, a committee, each committee member should be able to say, well, I have a question for Candida. I'll reach out to her and then receive a response. We shouldn't say, Joanne, can you reach out to her? Can you ask her these questions? To me, it just doesn't feel like it's being taken serious. I'm sorry, but it just doesn't feel like Hadley is being taken seriously. But then again, she can be a very busy person.
Right, if I was gonna play devil's advocate, we often, just for example, at UMass, we have a couple dozen project managers in our office. And we try to funnel our communication through one liaison with the inspector, because the inspector otherwise gets overwhelmed and can't respond. So this liaison kind of prioritizes and clarifies, here are the questions we need answers right now. Here's another, so maybe, I mean, just devil's advocate, maybe that's the way communication would work better for her. But I don't know that that's what she told us.
No, she didn't.
No.
She said that we can all use her
Right.
email and contact her. I mean,
But she has, this
I mean,
just,
she did also respond to Joanne and said she received my email and would get back to me. So I do, trust me, I do understand she is a busy person. I really do.
No,
really do, and I'm not
And I
saying-
affirm that.
But if she's that busy where she can't say, I'm in the middle of something, I will get back to you, or respond at all. 2 committee members reached out to her.
Yeah.
So I don't, to me, to continue to reach out to her to say, hey, are you available? Are you going to come? This is already May. Now the next meeting's June. And that's a short response for a July or August date. It would have been good to know at this date so that we could have gathered the people who'd like to come and then we would have seen their availability. But we didn't get an availability. We didn't get anything. I don't know what your thoughts are, Joanne.
Well, my thoughts are, I've known her now almost 5 years. And there are times when it's taken 6 weeks to get an answer or something, but it wasn't about a committee or whatnot. It's
An appearance, right?
but I see her, every once or twice a month.
Right.
In this case, she is, I think she's suggesting a phone call. Again, my experience is, sometimes an email or a text isn't seen for a long time. And I think the additional challenge is that as a committee, we can only consult on business once a month. And so, I was surprised, but I was assuming coming to this meeting that she had replied to that and then we'd have news, and I didn't know. And while I totally get what you're saying, my heart is saying, well, I'll just call her. I keep restraining
Because
myself.
you have that connection with her.
Exactly.
But if you have that connection with her and we're trying to create that connection with her,
Mhm.
that's the important thing, because we
Yeah.
will now bring in residents from the town of Hadley and say, hey, we're going to have this date. And by chance, if you're unavailable and someone reaches out, I'm sure you're coming, we need to confirm, and we don't have any information, and now we have all of these people who want to actually come and listen. So I will reach out. I told Pat, I said I'll send another email. I sent 3 emails now. And she hasn't responded, but she did tell you she would respond.
Do you want to text her?
I will now call her. I will
Yeah.
not even text her.
Yeah.
I will
Yeah.
call her and I will leave a voice message, seeing if she will respond that way. That's all we can do. I mean, it's kind of sad because I did want this to happen in Hadley, but the way it looks, it may not be able to happen until probably fall, if she's available. Because the next meeting is not till June.
Yeah.
And if we do not know her availability now, and then she tells us in June, well, I'm available August. Because we can't do July, that's too soon. We can't
Oh, yeah.
gather people for July. We might be able to do August, but people are on vacation and you never know, so. Well, I'll try again, I'll reach out to her and I will call her. I will not text her, I will not email her, I will call her and leave, you know, a detailed message about everything
Okay.
and hopefully she returns the call.
And this is a big deal for us in Hadley.
It really is.
I think we all have to feel like we're gonna do it in a way that we all feel comfortable, and there'll be
Well, right.
a need for a detailed description of what people would be signing up for. And we would all need to be comfortable with that. So I think we need some planning time.
Yes,
And we don't want to
Definitely.
do this in a way that is inadequate and people feel
Oh, yeah.
caught off guard or whatever. So I personally appreciate having a meeting with us. I think she has, you know, terrific skills and wonderful engaging personality, and I hope we can make something work.
yes.
But I do appreciate what you're saying. We want to go
Yeah.
about it in a way that we all feel comfortable and work around her availability, you know, and it sounds like the summer's best for her.
Right.
So, I mean, worst case scenario, we would work next summer, you know, or something else, or try something else. But,
Yeah.
you know, I enjoyed meeting her and I appreciated you inviting her to be a guest. And I think what she does is pretty amazing. And I would love to be part of that at some point with other people in Hadley. I think, you know, communication does build relationships.
Yeah. And another thing is to the funding, you know, if we do not hear from her and we do, you know, we have to plan the funding. We have to plan the site. It's so many things that we have to do to get this working and it has to go the best way it can. It cannot fall apart. You know, this is something that we're doing and we're incorporating and we're bringing residents in. So it has to really, you know, do something that's going to be beneficial for Hadley.
Again, playing devil's advocate, maybe it's not something that we whip up in 2 or 3 months. Maybe it's something that we schedule for next summer, but she gives us a proposal and then we request the funding
Exactly.
in the town budget. We may not get it, but then wouldn't that be nice if we
Yeah.
didn't have to have a bake sale or whatever to raise funds for, you know?
Exactly. You know, and if she was to say, okay, you know, I could come in August, then I would make meals and we could sell dinners. You know, there would be ways without the town, providing us with money this time, this go around, you know, that we can possibly, once we find out also what her fee would be, you know, everything, it's a lot that happens besides just confirming a date. You know, and I just hope that everything works out because again, like you said, she's very intelligent. Her education is astounding. She's a wonderful person. She speaks very gently and soft, and it's a voice that, you know, you want to be involved in. You know, it's a soft, enjoying, inviting voice and tone. And that's one of the reasons why, you know, she would be awesome to come in. You know, I just feel bad. I hope everything does work out and she just really busy. So I'll give her a call on the phone.
Yeah.
See what happens.
Yeah, I can imagine she could easily overwhelmed. I mean, she's one person.
Well, she has a group.
Right, but if she was gonna personally come to it, and we're getting the top of the tree. And we're one of what, 300 communities in Massachusetts, and so let's say 20% of them have DEI, you know, and you wanted to invite her, you know, whatever that is, that's like 60 communities, and then there's all the other surrounding states. I can imagine she has hundreds of requests, but
Yeah.
Well, another thing I forgot to address on the agenda, so as you know, I'm part of the Cultural Council. And the Cultural Council was invited to the State House in Boston on April 30th for Creative Sector Day. And I went, and it was wonderful. I met so many people and invited so many people to Hadley. Whereas what they're doing is something we need in Hadley. And I did explain to them, you know, when to fill out the application for the grant. I did explain, you know, it's all the grant and whatever. But there was one thing, and it was a tent. It was a tent that had, you go inside the tent, it had Christmas lights, but on the tent were different objects. So it's like a sensory tent where children can touch whatever's on there. It's hard, soft, bunny rabbits, teddy bears, rocks, and you can just stay in the tent and feel that warmth and enjoy just sitting in there or standing with all of these things around you that you can just reach out and touch and feel. So I think that's good for children. And I was telling her about that. It's called the Bloom Project, I believe. I have it in my phone. So I'll get back to them. There was another one. It was a dance organization for children. They did flips and dances, and it was wonderful. But when I spoke with them, it was really pretty expensive for them to come because, you know, they have insurance. It's really a real group. They have insurance, and they have to pay, you know, to get there. And so it's really expensive to do it. So I just put it out there that if she ever did want to come, her group want to come and, you know, just show, I explained to her how to actually get the grant as much as we can give. And I'm trying to find the video of the group dancing, so you can see the name of it. So here it is. It's called Circus Up. And it's a bunch of children. Let me get past that. You can turn it up around. But it's a bunch of children doing flips and dance routines. And they're so organized and it's so wonderful, you know. So I spoke with them, and they were a little expensive because of what they have to do. But they work with inner city children, and they give them confidence and boost of courage, which is something good that I like to see. There was another person I spoke to, and she wanted to know if we have nonprofit organizations, and she can also offer 401k plans to nonprofit organizations. Now, I don't know too many organizations that are nonprofit that have 401ks, but she specializes in that. So I need to find out if there are a few, and I was told there are a few nonprofit organizations. So I would like to speak with them and see if they have 401ks, and then transfer the information I received to the organization so that they'd be able to, get some more information, you know. So that was that, but it was a lovely day. I saw Governor Healy. I met with a few state reps. I did not see Homer. I didn't get a chance to see Homer, but I did see quite a few. I took a picture with Bud Williams. I didn't get a chance to take a picture with the governor, but I wanted to. But it was a lot going on. It was just a wonderful day. It was just so much entertainment, and then you had vendors. It was a room with vendors lined up against the wall selling anything. I mean, this woman had a quilt that she handmade, and it was letters, numbers, and alphabets. So it was a learning quilt. So you give it to your child and they can learn as they sleep. So it was just wonderful. I mean, the quilt was like $400 and something, but you have to look into what she put into it. And there was an artist there. It was just an awesome day
Was it a day specifically for cultural
Yes.
councils in the
in
Commonwealth?
Massachusetts.
Nice.
Creative Sector Day. So it was all of the
Creative.
cultural councils to come there and speak. So I did get a chance to take a picture on the steps. And I'm trying to find it because I would love to see it. I always want to see how I look in pictures. But yeah, that was a wonderful day and I'm happy that I was able to attend, you know. And also the Cultural Council, we are having a meet and greet with the teachers. Annie set that up with the teachers in Hopkins and Hadley Elementary to let them know about the grant process. So this way, they can have information of how to apply for grants for their school, for programs that are entertainment related and so forth, because they don't know. But that's perfect for them. And also we're going to have information for other resources to get grants. So this way they'll have that information as well. So we'll be going there at the schools next week to do that. So it's quite a bit of things that's been going on, you know. Other than that, that's all I have to share. Just a little tired right now.
So I think that puts us in, that would fall under open agenda.
Yes,
Because we
yes.
didn't have that.
Right.
The other thing I would put under open agenda is I just forwarded an email to Crystal. I didn't share it with each of you. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
yes.
That we were invited or we were, I don't know. What was it exactly? It was Jennifer from the select board office. Got something from, it was from Joe Comerford, I think. And letting us know that they're open until June 18th, accepting suggestions for a new state flag, state motto, and there was a third thing.
So it's
State motto.
It's a nice meeting, so I thought I would like to see this.
Mhm.
Oh, seal and motto.
The seal.
New state
Seal.
flag, seal and motto. From Joanne Comfort. Said greetings, there's a lot happening. We helped organize a briefing yesterday in the State House to launch the Indigenous Legislative Agenda. Below, you can find a video of the briefing and more information. Additionally, the Massachusetts Flag, Seal, and Motto Advisory Commission has issued a call for public submissions for design, sketches, and ideas for a new state flag, seal, and motto for the Commonwealth. And this can be shared with any artists, cultural bearers, young people, and I'll bring this up as well in the cultural meeting with the teachers, just so the students can maybe participate in that.
Interesting.
I mean, a new state flag, when was the last time that was done? Yeah, exactly. Our seal, flag, and motto should reflect not just our history, but the vibrant, diverse community we are today and the future we are building together. Massachusetts will bring to this process. So
Wow.
yeah, I never knew that
Hmm.
we needed to change it, but I guess that's gonna be something. And then it says here, speakers included indigenous leaders from across the Commonwealth representing Massachusetts tribal nations, the Massachusetts Indigenous Legislators Agenda, the North American Indian Center of Boston, NAICOB, the Massachusetts Commission on Indian Affairs, and the Massachusetts Mascot Coalition Steering Committee, and other key stakeholders. The agenda's bills include an act prohibiting the use of Native American mascots by public schools in the Commonwealth, an act establishing an Indigenous Peoples' Day, an act relative to celebrating and teaching Native American culture and history, an act providing for the creation of a permanent commission relative to the education of American Indian and Alaska Native residents of the Commonwealth, an act to protect Native American history, and then there's a recording that you can watch. So did you want to forward this to them, Mark? Do you want me to do so?
Sure, you can.
Okay, so I'll forward this to you guys.
So the seal, I'm just looking at it, I'm sure you've all seen it, is that blue shield, and in the center of it is a depiction of a Native American with a bow.
Yeah.
And there's a star in the corner.
So you know where that comes from, right?
Yeah.
We had a discussion at the State House about that. It's above the head, right? The seal with the Native American.
Yeah, I got it up now.
The Native, they've got
Maybe that's different. Let me send this email and take a look.
so the seal has this blue shield, and in the blue
Yeah,
shield.
yeah.
Is the, and there's a star above them.
Yeah,
Uh,
over to the left,
to the
I see it, yeah.
And there's some feathers, headdress kind of thing, and there's a bow and arrow.
So the one at the State House was much different. And
What's above it looks like a sword.
exactly.
Yeah.
Arm
It's
and
a sword. And it's above this, it's like, so basically what some, and you say this is the Massachusetts motto, right? No, seal.
That's the state seal.
It has, yeah.
Seal.
Yeah.
So basically.
Yeah.
What some people said, because I asked the reason why there is a sword with only an arm above the head.
Yeah.
Some people said because it was cutting the head off the Indian.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's why there was such a protest about this for years and years and years, and even a lobbyist who I would like to have come on here. He even said that they're trying to get rid of it and it hasn't been, been done yet, but now it finally is. But that's supposed to mean that they cut the head off the helmet.
Well,
That's why the sword is just an arm above the head of the Indian.
yeah.
Not knowing how true it may be, but this is what
Mhm.
some people at the State House was saying. And he even said, yeah, we're trying to get rid of that. So
Yeah.
that's a good thing that they're coming up with.
It would be good to have a seal that doesn't need explanation.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's self-explanatory in a positive way.
And moving forward.
Yeah.
I know that
Yeah.
the state of Maine recently went through this cycle. And they had a Native American and they had or no, I guess not. I think it was a farmer and a sailor. And they've gone to a tree. Yeah.
Yeah, that works.
Why did they go to the tree?
I don't know, maybe because they have so many
Because
forests.
they have a lot of forest
I
land.
don't know the whole history.
A
of this.
farmer and a sailor?
I just saw that different people, as you drive around, had the different,
Opinion.
because they were prototypes and some people would fly, like, I like this one.
It was a prototype. I thought of the actual chosen one. Okay. Yeah, but it would be nice for, because this is how old? Very, very, very old. So it would be nice to reflect what Massachusetts is doing in the new millennium, because this is going to be our state seal. So I do believe this is good that we send this out to everywhere. And I will bring this up at the Cultural Council too, and the meeting, because, we have a lot of different ideas now.
I think they said in there, or maybe you read it, that they're sending it to schools, they want the kids to,
Exactly.
those fresh creative minds.
Exactly,
Really?
it's a lot different now than it was then.
It's a-
A lot of things have changed, and I just hope no one comes up with an AI robot. As the state seal,
Yeah.
please don't do that. Just let's keep it real, something nice. Well, that was something that was very informative, and I appreciate that, Mark. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Well, does anyone
Wow.
else have anything for the open agenda?
I just know we occasionally talk about more members. I don't have any
Yeah.
ideas.
Yeah, I do think.
I don't have any
that's-
ideas,
We
Yeah.
should-
but I don't want it to get dropped. I mean, this is cozy and nice, but
No, more members would
In-
definitely be, especially young ones. I haven't received a response back from Elizabeth. So maybe she's changed her mind, or maybe it's a little too much.
well,
Because she does have to come at night and then she has school in the daytime. So maybe it's a little too much, even if it's just one day. She's also on the cultural council. Yeah, so she's also
what, I've forgotten Crystal. Is she a junior or a senior?
a senior, and she is part of the DEI and
Right,
Hopkins.
but so she's graduating.
Yeah, So
So this is. a
maybe
time when she's
next
gonna be-
year, after
in
she
hell.
graduates, if she doesn't move on to college and so forth.
That's Aisha or that's?
No, that's Elizabeth.
Elizabeth.
Gomez. Yeah, Aisha didn't respond. so
Aisha's a junior?
She's a senior
She's a
as well.
senior.
Oh, posting.
And her presentation,
Oh.
did you see the, I sent you guys, it was wonderful. I
Yeah.
mean.
I was
like-
gonna bring that up in closing reflection,
Oh,
but go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. No, go right ahead.
No, you can go. I don't know if we're closing.
It can wait.
Actually, I think it's good for open because she came and met with us. So
Yeah.
why not
Yeah,
Okay.
talk about her? We attended her presentation. No, you go ahead.
I'm done, go ahead.
I didn't get a chance to see. it.
I-
I've just been.
I went to her presentation and then I asked for her actual, written write-up.
Mhm.
And she did go through this with us, but afterwards, I wanted to make a note to myself of some of the, gee, I didn't know that things.
Right,
One of the things she says, her data showed that although the immigration process can be really challenging, if you've got the right support, money, lawyers, etc., then the overall process actually is not too bad,
right.
right? It makes sense, but I like to be reminded of things that I didn't even think of.
It's just hard finding those
Yeah.
resources.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Finding the money, finding the lawyer to take the time. That's the biggest thing.
Right, right. Another
She-
takeaway that I thought was interesting. As you recall, her survey went to people who were immigrants and then people who wanted to offer on what they thought the immigrant experience
Right,
was. And that they were somewhat different. Those who were not immigrants thought it was much harder. And it appears, I'll read what she says here. The question about what Massachusetts think about the experience of immigrants. It appears that when Massachusetts residents are told to think about the experiences of immigrants, they assume this means refugees and asylum seekers. And less frequently do they consider that immigrants could also be skilled workers, fiancés, and those who have pathways where they have a role here. I thought that was interesting. And she also spoke to how the media fosters that. And that she would love to do follow-up research about that media influence.
Sounds like a pretty sophisticated analysis.
Yeah.
No,
It was.
And I
yeah,
think it's recorded anyway, so if you want
Yeah.
to see it,
Oh,
you
yeah.
can definitely
Yeah.
watch it.
yeah,
And there was some guests there and they had questions and she answered the questions so brilliantly. She's a very intelligent
Yeah.
child and I hope she goes further. I want to follow her, see where she goes in life,
yeah.
Did she list the dates of when she collected her data or input? Because that might be interesting relative to when all the ICE actions started to take
Oh, good
place.
question.
Yeah.
Probably right? She met with us in February.
Yeah,
I was at that meeting. This is the one where I, at the last minute, could join. I remember
And I
when.
think she was about to
You met.
close.
So I
Yeah,
would
this
have
was
been,
in February.
I would have been, that's right. I was in February in Florida.
Yeah,
That's
this was
correct.
in February when she completed her surveys and everything.
Yeah.
And it took that long for her to, I guess, create it and.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was impressive. though.
Very
yeah,
much.
yeah,
Very impressive.
just, she's a very good speaker, she doesn't show any. Shyness or, she doesn't look like she is a person who's an introvert. She handles her business, which is good,
Mhm.
you
Yeah.
And just like when I went, at the Mothers Club at Hadley, when all of the people who were running for the select board, the planning board, and I was there, I got up on the podium
You
and I
did?
felt comfortable.
Yep.
I didn't
You came
stutter or
across.
something, yeah, and then everyone clapped because you know why? I spoke about the fact that, low income or, what did Tony say, affordable housing. affordable housing, it means low income. And when I got up there, no, it does not mean, there's a stigma with low income. It means that there's drug addicts, there's street urchins, there's criminals and, ex-cons, but no, it can be someone who is disabled, someone who's lost their job and cannot afford the rent. They can be an elder trying to downsize. They can be someone who's a single parent, so these factors play
It could be
into.
someone whose partner just died
It's-
early,
Oh,
and
yeah.
now they're trying to re-enter the workforce to
All
support
kinds of
themselves.
things.
It could be so.
It could be so many things, so the negative is to me, it does not outweigh the positive. And also, there weren't a numerous amount of phone calls to the police station. That was not true. It was not. I mean, and then the other thing, you have to look at it like this. Right now, we have homeless people living there for free. There's no problems. Do you really think there would be additional, like, over the top problems for someone who's working and appreciative of a roof over their head?
There actually was a large increase of calls, but that's for the Craig's doors. And that is the homeless, the unhoused, and they did have a number of problems. I have been doing some research on this. Mike Mason, had his lieutenants sent me, like 2 years of calls to that address, and we were, able to strike out, or he struck out ones that were that address for a motor vehicle. So you could narrow it down to the building. And I shared that with Laura Baker. Laura Baker reached out to Lieutenant Cook and asked if she could get even more data up to that address going back like 5 more years, getting to when it was really a hotel. Because
Right.
her point was that Craig's Door is kind of transient lodging. It's helping people out who are lost. And the affordable housing that it's targeted as, these would be people that are stable,
Right.
just can't afford a
Exactly.
McMansion in town.
Exactly.
So
Or
it's a
downsizing.
different segment of culture.
Yes,
But
yes, yes.
so from
So
what I was
that's
told,
all.
it wasn't and truly influx of calls. I was told it wasn't, whereas, someone is saying, oh, we had so many calls and then that it wasn't really as much as was being portrayed.
Yeah, he said in his letter that it was straining them, and the chief
Yeah,
in
exactly,
his email to me said, no,
exactly,
we're not straining.
Yeah.
exactly.
But the numbers were a spike, but that was Craig's Doors was just a window of time when it was not the intended use. That was not what they were promoting. It was them trying to support they needed some income. It was not gonna be a hotel. They couldn't go back to a hotel. When they bought it from the previous owners, there was I believe, I heard somewhere that there was a deed restriction that it could not go back to a hotel.
Mhm.
So now they bought this, the zoning board shot it down, and now they had all this maintenance, so they had to find some way. And one of the ways that came knocking at their door was Craig's Doors. So that was not their intention, but it was a way to keep them afloat while they work through the process, apply for the grants again, get into the next grant cycle, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, Tony was, Mr. Fiden's, in my opinion, his opinion letter was not fully informed, and it was more opinionated.
Yeah, he also wrote the spoke at the Gazette, remember?
That's what he's
That's what
talking
you're
about.
talking about.
Yeah.
That-
Yeah.
His letter to the.
Yeah.
Is where they said.
So what did Craig Stores want to do initially when they purchased it?
They didn't purchase, they were the Valley CDC was basically leasing it out to them.
Oh, so Valley CDC.
Valley CDC bought it
owned it.
with
They
the,
own it,
they
Yeah,
bought
but
it,
they have to
With-
raise money to renovate it.
right.
Oh.
So they had a plan in place that got shot down when our ZBA said,
Oh, I
no,
gotcha.
not approved.
Okay,
So then they had to sit on it while there was an appeal and it-
Me too.
for a year.
Oh my goodness.
yeah.
And
The
so,
plot thickens.
and so trying to just keep it afloat and not lose, because they're a nonprofit. They're
Yeah,
not,
exactly.
they're not out there selling widgets and
Mhm.
whatever.
So how did they make their money then from homeless?
I guess there was some, that must be an organization that has some funding to,
It
To
must
give
be-
it
it was certainly
must
not
be-
their first choice,
So
but it was better
Grant
than
to
nothing.
help them.
So Craig's store,
I don't know about-
they rented the space from Valley CDC.
Right,
Yeah, so that was some income for Valley CDC.
right,
While they went to raise money for different organizations, so they could renovate it for the ultimate use, which is affordable housing.
Right.
right. So
Is that right?
Craig's doors, just to be clear, they're the ones who want to make it affordable housing.
No,
That's what I didn't.
no,
hear, just-
no, they're just passing.
Yeah. But when you just said that they wanted to make it affordable housing.
No, I'm talking Valley CDC.
They, Valley CDC,
Just accepted that so that they can have more money, so that they can renovate it for affordable housing.
They have an empty building
Right,
and they were looking for money to
Right.
renovate the empty building.
looking for options.
And
So they
so
got
Craig
Craig
Door
Doors.
came and asked if they could rent the space.
right.
And Valley CDC said yes.
And that's
So-
where they got their money from.
And I
Yeah,
think
but I
they,
don't think it's that much.
No, I
they
think
did
it's
check
that.
No, but it's just they have a resident in there now, correct?
Yeah.
I believe, what,
Craig's Door.
I don't know, I don't know anything about it, yeah.
I thought they were all just passing through.
Well, it's homeless, so I don't know how long they stay.
This is what I mean.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I'm
I'm
just-
reading about it here.
Yeah, Craig's Door is an agency
Right,
that offers temporary housing
right.
to people who are unhoused.
Right.
Is that right, Joanne?
Yes,
Yeah,
that's-
it provides
that's what they
vulnerable
do.
and unhoused members of our community with emergency shelter,
Right,
food and access to resources.
right. So when you said resident, I that's what confused.
I see.
Maybe it's someone who has to be there to make sure everything stays in control, in a controlled environment, instead of just leaving to themselves.
Yeah,
Someone needs to be there to keep the order.
I don't know how it operates,
Yeah. Me neither.
and we're just speculating.
Yeah, we don't know. We're just
What-
trying
what we
to
were-
put it together.
What we were trying to clarify was that Craig's Doors was by no means the intended, does not equate with affordable housing.
Exactly.
Right.
That's-
It was a interim measure to cut their losses when they lost a year of grant cycle application because the ZBA shut them down.
Right,
As
right. So
well
this is
as-
just income to
Yeah.
make up for the loss.
Right.
Yeah,
Mhm.
well, hopefully, because, it's still trying.
We're still trying.
Still trying. When we spoke, on Tuesday.
At the forum,
Yeah.
Monday, it was Monday
It was
night.
Monday.
Monday night.
Randy did state how, the zoning board has to approve that for the Econo Lodge.
The planning,
Well, he's on the planning board. I mean, he's on the
Oh.
select board.
he's on the side.
Yeah, so he was explaining that Hadley is usually just, the way that Hadley is, you have a plot and you build one house on there. It's not something where you build an apartment on, that's where the zoning is. So that's why they're trying to change it so that it can now, if you have a piece of land, instead of building one house, you may be able to build several, a little community, So it was a lot to learn in that meeting and it's a lot to find out. I'm just hoping and praying that everything works out for everyone, It's been a long ride and we've done our best.
Mm.
Well, does anyone have any closing reflections?
I think we're doing good work and let's hope to grow our membership.
I wanted to say, sorry to cut you off. I was wondering if it would be, how can I say this, if anyone is up to changing the name from DEI to EDI. So that we can take the DEI out. Since they're removing it anyway, I don't want us to fall under that.
Call
And
it,
stop our process and what we do.
you're saying keep doing the same thing, but
But
just change the name of it?
Yes,
And change it to what?
You could just changing the order of it, or just
Just-
words? It's
just-
equity,
so
diversity, and
DEI, education, diversity and inclusion.
education.
Oh, I like the equity part.
Diversity and inclusion.
You would take equity out,
No,
call it
No.
education?
so yeah, I would take equity out and put in education, because that's what we do. We educate people on how to be an equity or be part of an equity or be inclusive.
That
So
would be
even,
more equitable.
right, so even now, we don't talk much about equity. When you look at, we talk about inclusion, diversity, but I haven't seen, besides the movies possibly, any equity. If anyone can refresh me, please do.
And this is, and your intent is to take the target off our back?
Yes. Yes, so this way we can keep up our program and not have to worry that one day we can't do this anymore. And we do a lot for the community. You know, we share a lot. There are programs, movies, inclusiveness that we do with the seniors, and we have information about things that people may not know of unless, you know, they can watch this. So I was just thinking if anyone wanted to think about it, you
I'm
know.
glad you bring it up because when that started getting in the national news.
Yeah.
That immediately came to my attention and I started to see news of different groups shifting their verbiage.
Oh, yeah?
Yep, so I'm glad you brought that up because I'm gonna do a little more research on that, what might be the right wording.
Yeah, that,
You
I was
know?
just thinking about that for a while, and I didn't want to keep, equity because of the fact it's still the same thing, it's just rearranged. And it still may fall under that, you're still a DEI. You know, my worry is that, we finally get guys, and that's going to be bad for Hadley. And, you know, I want us to continue to do what we do for Hadley. If you want to keep equity, we surely can. You know, if you want to think about it, I just think that what we do, we educate about diversity and inclusion.
I don't know how we would get the ads. We don't,
You don't think so?
well, I'm just trying to think of how we would.
Yeah,
We're not taxing the community, we have no budget.
but they, even towns that don't have it, they've
Are they being
been told.
attacked?
Yeah, yes, that's why a lot of. them-
Oh, I'm not aware of that. I know that they've gone after schools, you know,
That's the federal-
universities and corporations.
Right.
Well-
But there are a lot of towns that are being told and businesses, you no longer can call it DEI. And they're changing. You can look, I guess maybe you could take time to look that up.
Yeah, I would ask the select board, do you feel that we should, you know, camouflage our mission statement to protect ourselves in the town?
Yeah,
And if they say no, well,
then we can't do it. I just wanted to get your idea first before I brought it to that.
I-
This way, I don't wanna go over your head and just stomp on your feet and do it on my own.
My reaction, my personal reaction is, I don't wanna cave into that idiocy that's coming, you know, but I don't wanna be stupid and risk something, you know, so I would wanna know that there's a risk. I guess I felt like we were,
Absolutely.
when I use the,
Untouchable.
I'm gonna go down a rabbit hole here. I have a thing I call the dandelion principle. That when I see dandelions in my yard, I go around and I grab all the big bright dandelions. And I get And then I turn around and I'm like, where did those come from? It's the smaller ones.
Yeah.
But you got the big ones first.
Right.
Now the big ones are gone and you're like, oh, then you go around and
The
you
smaller
get the mediums and you walk away, come back. Where did those come from? Because they see the small.
Exactly.
We're a pretty small dandelion. We're not. Our budget is 0.
That's what I was thinking. I don't think it would
But-
happen, but just in case, you know, if we did need something to fall back on,
Well, yeah,
we have an idea. So I can definitely
I would recommend that.
bring it to the select board
Yeah,
and
we-
just tell us
yes,
what we
yeah.
thought, just in case it
Yeah.
ever comes down to it, we already have a planning process. Instead of scrambling at that time to figure things out.
Two things come to mind. Also, yeah, Randy's our liaison. He might have an opinion. I remember with our meeting with Candida, she did mention something about how the language of her organization
Had to change, yeah,
No, that she never had it like this.
in the beginning.
Well,
Are you saying
was
in the
it?
beginning?
Well, I
don't
just
I'm
know
asking
that
them.
she has it worded that it's about relationship is everything type of thing. So
Yeah.
that's one thing. But the other concern I have is about, not about funding or about the state, it's about the talk in the town. I mean, I don't want to name any individuals, but we sometimes have here, and there are those that might at some time not like the work we do and put a letter to the editor. You know, as the Econo Lodge comes up or whatnot. That's not happened yet, but that occurred to me when we endorsed that project.
That you
you know,
think someone
that-
would say something negative about our.
Sure.
We can get that.
Oh, okay, cool.
Well, this makes me think of something else I've been sharing with my peers. I say, we are white men, so we do not feel the target on our back because we look like the aggressors, but eventually they will come for us after they've picked off all the other dandelions. Because we don't think the way they do, but we look like them, and the way they're acting is they're going after immigrants, or because you look like an immigrant, or you look different, or you know, whatever. So what I'm saying is I recognize that I recognize that I may be privileged to feel less vulnerable because of my genetics.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't want to be a proud resistor and risk others that do, you know, I want to respect
Gotcha.
if you feel like this group is more vulnerable than I was feeling it is, because I'm projecting my own, I can go out there and resist and hold signs, and you know, my sister, you know, she's she's physically diminished by multiple sclerosis. Her husband is of color. She feels very worried. She feels very vulnerable. So I get that. So I'm speaking from my own sphere of experience.
And that's the
Wow,
one thing,
thank
a
you.
lot of people who are Caucasian do feel as if, like you said, the target is not on their back and they don't have anything to worry. But then when you look behind the curtain, they have family members that may be biracial. They have family members that may have married someone that's not of the Caucasian race. So when you look deeper, you know, there are so many people that are worried and suffering on this case. It's just so sad that because of what's happening, everyone has a bit of worry. Everyone has a bit of worry, male or female, with color, no color, Asian, Latin. And like I said to Aisha when we had her here, you know, you don't necessarily have to be an immigrant to be treated like an immigrant. You can just look different
Yeah.
and be treated differently. I mean, when I was growing up, you can imagine how many little black girls had long, pretty hair and green eyes and light skin. None. None. So I was treated so differently, you know, and I had to learn how to adapt. I had to learn how to be a part of a culture that I was accepted in. And that's the same thing that immigrants go. You have to learn to be part of a culture so you can be accepted. And you can't be yourself because you'll be rejected.
Yeah.
So having a white skin allows you to have a shield where you don't have to explain things. You don't have to feel a certain way.
Mhm.
You don't have to worry, but then you may have family members, as I stated,
Mhm.
that you now have to worry about. You may have grandchildren that are biracial that you have to worry about. So no matter what it looks like on the outside, you open that book and you'll see like, wow, everybody's experiencing this, no matter what the outside is. You cannot ever judge a book by its cover. Ever judge a book by its
Now I
cover.
try to preach this to my cousin who is politically conservative, and he says, I worked hard, everybody should work hard, and it's a level playing field. I said, no, it's not a level playing field.
Not at all.
You have
Not.
so much less friction being white, being male, you take your blessings for granted.
Yes, yes, and that's the other thing.
And it's
as
sad
well.
that they're blessings.
Yeah.
Because if we had what our vision is of a society that embraced all colors and countries and genders and whatever, then it wouldn't be an advantage.
Right, and that's what the country was created on, advantage, and disadvantage.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so hard for different races to actually make a living and be able to buy a home, because that's the way the country was built. You
Yeah.
cannot do this. We're not allowing you to do this,
Contracts, it's in the mortgages.
Exactly. I seen a
in the
TV show where these two African-American men, very smart, had a great mind, and they went to the bank to get a loan. And as soon as they got in, this person greeted them with so much disrespect, so much disrespect. And they explained who they were. And this bank person then changed their mind, but still didn't give them the loan. So then they sent in their friend who was Caucasian
Yeah,
for the same exact thing and was approved the loan.
of course.
So what they did then was, now they had the bank investigating. And they looked at all of the homes that were approved through the bank and the high interest rate that they were paying, making it impossible to pay off their home.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
bank got in trouble for it.
Yeah.
So it's still a lot that people are fighting. And as long as there are more people who are understanding the struggle and want to help, it's always gonna get better. It's not gonna go away. but
It's
it'll
so
get better.
deeply systemic. and
Oh, big
It
time.
goes back so
Yeah,
many
big
time.
generations. The FHA, the federal banking, the federal housing, all of those things, it's written in there. I mean,
Yeah.
you look at, even today, there's still, I mean, I think you can find, I don't think we have a lot of rental contracts in Hadley, I don't know, but the old standard boilerplate, if you go in deep enough, it says no people of color, no.
But you can change that. I did find
Oh,
out
you can
there's a law
change,
now, you
yes.
can change it.
But
So
it's,
I believe with the way that these children are being raised these days and the new millennium, they don't want that. They have spouses that are not Caucasian. They have children that are mixed. So they take that out of the clause, which is good because it's at a minimum now. Before it was everywhere, but now it's at a minimum, and the clause is changing, which is good. It's only there when you have someone, I believe, that's ancient and has the house that they don't want to get rid of, and it might be in that clause. You never know, but to turn that around and bring something happy, at least, we all know that we're trying to make things better. We're all trying to do things in a collaborative effort to make sure that we help each other, we understand each other, and we respect each other. That's the main thing that we need to do, is start off on that first and then move on from there.
Well, and I would agree with that, Crystal, and I think our name includes inclusion, and I think we strive for that. And I'm proud of the work we've done all these years. I think we're coming up to a 5-year anniversary. And
Yeah.
I understand that there are political associations with the concept of DEI. But I'm proud of us, We have a history. And unless asked to
Mhm.
change our name, I would not be okay for changing it. I think we stand behind our good work of 5 years.
Okay,
And
well,
That
that's why I
would-
brought it to everyone.
I mean, certainly if we
Ask
want to
everyone's
do some
opinion.
research about other committees or
Mhm.
talk to our liaison, I'm not opposed to that, but I've been part of organizations that had a history and then the name changed and they
And it went
lose their
down.
whole history.
Oh, I see. Good
You know, you have a
point.
new name and
Yeah,
then
it's a
people
new-
say, what is
yes,
that?
you're
And now I
right.
think people know who we are and they know what we do and they like it or they don't,
By
but
and large, they like.
Yeah, you're right.
but, you know, we've developed relationships and I hate to lose that.
Yeah.
I mean, I really do think it's 5 years in.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this,
And that's why I brought it to everyone.
Yeah, and I thought the same thing,
You
Crystal,
know,
so I
just
appreciate you bringing
Bringing
it
it
up.
up to everyone, and I can
Okay.
just for backup, I will speak with Randy for backup, just in case it
Okay.
ever comes down to us. You know,
No,
each meeting, hopefully it never does,
and I
but
live next to Molly, so
yeah, then
I
you
can
can,
ask.
Do you?
yeah, you can speak, yeah.
Keep-
He lives like 2 doors
oh,
down,
really?
yeah.
I'm
But
glad
yeah.
you brought it up. Like, I'm glad you brought it up because it's good to be aware that it could be a
It
thing.
could be a problem,
And why
and
not?
we need to have a backup. You don't wait for the wolf to come to your door knocking, you have to be prepared. And that's what we're going to do. So we can bring it up, we can mention it, keep it, and if ever it needs to be changed, we have a plan. And that's what we always need to do is have a plan. All right,
Right?
August 5th is our 5-year anniversary.
No.
oh, for here, well, we need to do something for that. You know, oh, that's
That's
the
the
thing I wanted to ask. Are we going to do anything? Remember last year we met, but I was unable to go.
Right, Joanne?
Yeah, we did
So-
it outside of it was friends and we didn't do any committee talk.
Yeah,
We
so,
planned it
yeah,
outside.
right.
But I brought this up when you weren't here yet and we chatted
Oh,
about,
good, you
I
did.
brought it up before the formal meeting started.
That's good. So,
Yeah,
We learned that we should talk about it after we conclude the meeting if we want to
Okay.
do an event that's social.
okay,
right,
All right, that's-
Yeah.
so that's
It's not
great.
open meeting material.
No,
right.
What
Well,
we
that's-
do- what we
that's
do
good.
socially, as long as we don't talk business,
As long as
and
we
make
don't
any
talk-
decisions.
well, I appreciate that. So everybody, we're all set with the
Next
closing
week.
reflections.
Yeah,
The dates for the next meeting would be June 12th.
yep.
So this way, you know, it's not going to fall on Juneteenth. So if
It's
every,
a holiday, unless they
Yeah.
take that away.
no, not yet, not yet. All right, so if anyone would like to make a motion,
I would make a motion that we adjourn.
okay,
I would second that motion.
all right.
Mark Dunn, aye.
That was marathon.
Joanne Godding, I agree.
And Crystal Jackson.